Another massive episode of the Almost Made It podcast coming right at ya. This week we had on ex-A-League footballer Jake Barker-Daish.
We spoke about his A-League debut, how he transitioned from footballing life into everyday life, and also how he marked Alessandro Del Piero.
Let's jump straight in. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of the Almost Made It podcast, proudly brought to you by Cultural Club. Another big guest this week. We have an ex-A-League player for Adelaide United and the Gold Coast United. I don't know if anyone remembers them, but they were around.
What were they?
He represented the country at under-20 and under-23 level, had a stint playing in Europe, which we'll get into. And last and not least, a bit of an inspiration for us with his podcast.
Oh, that's cool.
The host, creator of the Unlaced podcast, ladies and gentlemen, Jake Barker-Daish. What's going on?
Hey, mate, thanks for the intro, boys.
All good.
That's not an inspiration. That's cool.
Yeah, man.
I didn't know that.
Well, we want to be where you are, man. Like,
Nah, fuck no.
I remember we were watching your podcast ages ago.
Oh, really?
We're like, this is cool. Like,
Yeah.
Because we sort of like...
we remember for the A-League and stuff.
Yeah,
you know
yeah.
what I mean?
How long have you guys been in the podcast game then?
Geez, if we really want to talk about our first ever show, I think we started in 2019, but it was dog shit.
It was more like a results-based fucking, one of those type
It was all
things.
like Serie A sort of stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I reckon there should be more pods like that though now.
Do you reckon?
Yeah, I'm tinkering. Probably should say it. I've been tinkering with the idea of just having a specific football hot take podcast because I think it's interesting. Like, only reason why is because you watch people in England some of them never played football, but they're hot takes and they're fucking legends, man. Some of them are like millionaires just from having an opinion.
True,
like that Mark Goldbridge guy is a Man U fan.
The Man U guy.
How the fuck is that guy famous?
So
do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
It almost makes you angry sometimes.
does.
yeah,
Some
so
of them.
I think there's something in that, Maybe Serie A, you should look at it.
Yeah, maybe we should.
Idea.
Thank you.
Yeah. Fuck, I'm just giving it away.
Another show a week.
Yeah.
Just quickly, we like to ask this sometimes to guests. What's your coffee order?
I'll tell you what, it was a latte for a long time. I always tell people that I'm like, I'm everyone's first coffee, a mocha, like in my skin color. Do you know what I mean? So you always try it, and then if you like it, you'll stick with it or not. But then I went to a latte for years, and then I spoke to a mate who's a barista, and he's like, bro, why are you ordering a latte? I'm like, what do you mean? He goes, you may as well get a flat white because a latte is just like froth, and the flat white's like pure milk and pure coffee, and it's like a better combination.
Right.
And it comes out warmer as well or
There you
whatever.
go.
So I've been getting that, and then I've started, I live in, I don't know, southeast of Melbourne's rubbing off for me, so I'm getting soy flat whites now. So,
Different.
yeah. I don't know I feel like almond milk's it's growing on me, but I just haven't committed yet.
Still not. Yeah.
What about yous?
Look, me just...
You guys look
classic.
like short, like espresso guys,
Yeah,
man.
who knows,
You
mate,
guys
who
don't
knows,
fuck
mate,
around,
who knows?
bro.
We're a bit of addicts, mate, when it comes to that.
Yeah. Well, you
Yeah.
both Italian background?
Yeah.
Yeah.
About six or seven a day.
yeah.
Fuck's sake, man. What? That is fucked.
So,
I have to, or else.
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
gotta
It's
get
not
fixed.
good, but-
If I can put it into my veins, I would. Man.
Yeah.
All right, let's
get
start.
into it.
Yeah, from the start, pretty well. Not from the start, but let's go into your
Bro, I'll talk whatever, man.
into
No
your
stress.
childhood. Where'd you grow up?
Yeah.
How'd
So
you get into football?
yeah, well, I think, I don't know if I haven't been officially diagnosed, but I'm seeing an expert in ADHD, and she's diagnosed that I've got ADHD, which makes a lot of sense. But as a kid, I was fucking hyperactive, man. Insane. Like always with a ball playing. Like I think I put my parents off having more kids because of how nuts I was. So I grew up in the southeast of Melbourne. We lived in like near Chadstone, Hughesdale, Oakley area.
Yeah.
And soccer was just the first sport that you could play at the youngest age. And they tried to do that to calm my energy down as a release. So I played my first soccer team, was Monash City, right? The Monash City Raging Bulls, they were called. I think they're still around. But they used to be a powerhouse back in the day in like Super League for juniors in the southeast. So I went there and I started playing there from the age of 5. Man, for like 5 till 10, I was shit. So bad, bro. Like I wasn't bad, but like I was never the standout in the team. I was making up the numbers and stuff. But I just had my mum's youngest brother. So my mum's dad remarried. So she had a real younger brother who's only 7 years older than me. My uncle, he was in the Blackburn Rovers Academy.
Oh, yeah.
So he was kind of like a bit of an inspiration because he was training with the first team and the reserves. And this is like back in 2004, 2005, and like Lucas Neal was playing there. They were in the Premier League and stuff. So it was like a big thing. So that's when I started to catch the drug of like, you know, taking more seriously when I started going to a few of the Premier League games over there.
It is a drug, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's funny how that happens. I feel like that happens to everyone where like your first few years, you're watching planes fly over.
Yeah, my
like,
dad reckons I played air guitar on the wing. And he was going to not take me back if I didn't take it seriously. So,
and then it just like the penny drops, doesn't it? Just one moment and it changes. What was that moment for you?
To be brutally honest, my best sports growing up were cricket and footy.
No way.
Like by far, yeah. I ended up getting a scholarship to a high school for both those sports, not soccer, which is crazy because I'd been like 12 at the time. But the first state team I ever made was the Victorian Primary Schools team for soccer.
Right.
So because I wasn't big enough at footy and I was still probably a bit too small for soccer, for cricket. Like I didn't have enough power and stuff, but I was probably technically and more gifted at those naturally. Soccer I had to like work at. But I remember going to the first national championships in Canberra and I put up a photo of it recently, but in that team, we had Jamie McLaren, Jackson Irvine, Curtis Good, myself, and then I don't know if you boys will know Ersin Kaya as well. All 5 of us played for the junior national teams. 4 of us played professional and 3 Socceroos from the same under-12s team. And we ended up winning the tournament. But I just remember like thinking I was an okay player and then going to that and like Tom Rodgick was there, Terry Antonis was there. There was like 3 or 4 other players that at 12 years old, like these guys were like, they could play, they were Europe ready for academies, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, I remember just walking away from that thinking like, I've got to improve a lot here. So when I came back from that, that's when I started training every day.
Right.
Like by myself or with coaching or clubs and stuff.
I did read that your dad was a very good cricket player, yeah?
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Yeah.
So was he ever like sort of trying to get you down the cricket route and then you just sort of went, I want to play football?
Yeah, but I think he made me competitive, you know, because I would be on like 99 in the backyard on Christmas Day at like the age of 8 and he would purposely bowl like a quicker ball and bowl me out and I'd end up in tears and like he wouldn't fucking care.
Yeah.
And I remember one specific moment, I didn't throw the ball back to him on the full when he was throwing balls at me in the nets. And the next one, I've spoken about this before, he did a bouncer and he hit me in the head and it knocked my helmet off. I started crying. So he was real hard-edged at cricket. But then with soccer, he didn't know anything.
Yeah.
So he just was silent, the background dad, you know? So yeah, he tried hard.
I guess he built your character as an athlete.
Well, I did. I never won.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And like even card games, I'd find him sitting on cards and stuff, like cheating to beat me. I'm like, bro, I hadn't even hit puberty.
Do you think that? But do you think that helped in a way? Did that make you a winner?
I thought, I didn't realize it at the time. I just thought, this guy's good at everything. Yeah. But then I got older and I'm like, part of it was a weapon against myself because like I didn't handle defeat and upsets very well.
Yeah. Do you think that was like something in you and he got it out of you or he taught it to you? Because I'm always interested to know how people get this.
I think he kind of taught it to me. Yeah, definitely. Because like, I mean, I always played sport and always like wanted to do it, but like the competitive now, it's like even if we play cards or something, like table tennis. Do you know what I mean? Like I won't sleep at night if someone's fucking whooping me or some shit. So
our mates fucking hate us.
But I think it's interesting because a lot of people it gets put into you from a young age, and then it just stays with you, man.
Yeah,
with everything that you do. But at the time, you think this guy's like a prick, you know, like your coach, your dad, whatever. But then you look back now when you're older, and you're like, man, if I probably didn't go through a lot of that stuff, I'd be like a weak piece of shit, man. I wouldn't have got through what I've got through, you know.
Yeah.
So it's 100%. Crazy, you know what I mean?
100%, bro. Yeah. I mean, even now with the podcast game, bro, it's like competitive, you know. Every week you got to turn out an episode, you got to make it better, and it's like some of those things that I thought it was all sport related, but that's one of the benefits from sport is you take that into other walks of life, you know. So
well, if you look at a lot of like business owners, a lot of them, not all of them, have a sporting background.
Yeah,
because they understand that mental edge, that winning mentality.
Correct, man. Yeah.
So you mentioned the Vic squad. Bit of a golden generation as well.
Yeah, we didn't realise it at the time. I'll never forget that tournament as well. One of my mates, Dane Milanovic, he plays in the NPL now. His dad, Milo Milanovic, is like a bit of an Australian legend, and he's I don't know if he coached in the NSL or whatever, but he definitely played in it. But one of the days, we had a day off, and he came and spoke to everyone, all the state teams. And I remember him saying to us that only one from each team will make it. And which is fucking wrong. But at the time, he's not too far wrong either, right? We just had a lucky group. Yeah. So I remember just sitting there thinking like, shit, like that really hit home. But I was like, to be honest, don't get me wrong, I worked really hard at it and I got superior at the craft at a young age. But I was lucky, man. I've made every single state team you could ever make. Every rep team you could ever make from 12 to 21. There wasn't a team I missed.
So you
Do you know
never
what I mean?
What it felt like to be
Like I feel like I earned it, but at the same time,
of course.
Jamie McLaren didn't make under 13 state team. Jackson Irvine didn't make any other state team from like 12 after the age of 12.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of stories of guys that didn't make stuff, but I was just one of those ones that I just kept getting picked. So, yeah, I was lucky in that sense. I had quite an elite sort of junior youth career.
Did you go from the AIS, then go from there into the AIS that helped you then pathway into the A-League?
Yeah,
or
so,
how did that sort of...
Well, yeah, kind of. It was, I can't remember how I got picked for the VIS. But the VIS, when I went there, was like, an unbelievable team. There was eight of the players in the Joeys played in the VIS in Victoria. We had James Jago, Peter Franjic, Kamal Ibrahim, Tedros Yabio, Dardor, Lokvancic, Bailey Wright, who played heaps of times for the Socceroos. There was all these guys in the VIS, and they were the middle age. Then above them, they had like 6 or 7 players that were top quality. But I just got picked in there as a 14-year-old on a training scholarship. Mm-hmm. I can't remember how it happened, but I remember it being a big deal because I was the only one in my age group.
Yeah.
So what that meant is they all played back then in the NPL. AIS used to play in the seniors.
That's right.
And then the VIS used to be their reserve team. So I would train with Ian Green, I was the coach, and Mehmet Jurakovic. I would train with them all week, and then I'd go play for a team on the weekend. But because I was training, I was 14, but because they were playing under 21s, and at 14, 15, I played under 15s when I was, I think, 14. So I went into VIS at 15. And my dad just took me to an under 21 team, and I played for Altona Magic under 21s for half a season, really. So that's what I did, and then eventually it went into a full scholarship. But to answer your question, it was the under 15s Nationals Carnival.
That's right.
That's where they picked. That's what I found out when I went there. But I always say this: I didn't play that well at that carnival. We didn't, because we had like one of the best teams, at least we thought. But we lost to Tasmania 1-0 in a game. We came 5th or 6th. It was really bad. We just had one of those bad days, you know.
Yeah, it happens.
But I think because they saw me play for the VIS before them every week, and I had some pretty good games, and I was young, that helped my selection.
How'd you go playing with the 21s?
Bro, well, I did pretty well.
Yeah.
Now I look back and I don't know how I did it, because if I was like 14-year-old played against me at 21, I'd think destroyed them. But I remember I scored goals and stuff. So
body wise, you were sweet.
Yeah, just because I grew like kind of not as tall now, but I grew quicker. So I was a little bit taller and a little bit stronger, but still a kid, man. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, I ended up doing okay. But there's a story. I dropped back to the under 15s one week, because they were playing in the Manchester United Cup.
Oh, man, yeah.
Because I don't know if you boys know this. I have to tell everyone. It's one of my claim to fame.
Yeah.
But I had an unbelievable tournament at this thing. We played like Green Gully, scored a few goals in the final. Like the boys there were legends, but we didn't have a great team. They had like 6 state players. But the senior coach was there that day. I forget what his name is, Vlador Tortevsky maybe, but he saw the game and he picked me in the seniors that week. So I played 10 minutes. I played my NPL seniors debut at 14. And at the time, I was the youngest player ever. And then straight from that game, the next morning, the VIS called me and said, "You're not going back there. You're going to be on a full scholarship." So that's when it all changed after that day.
It was the Manchester Cup for us too that sort of changed our careers a bit.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, man. And it's sad that...
Is it not around?
I don't think they do it anymore.
Bro.
No one talks about it
That was
anymore.
the best, man.
That was fuck. I remember thinking it, like, I played out of my skin as well, because I went for Man U.
Oh, yeah.
So I wanted to go.
But it was a big deal, man. I remember those nights. We played it at Darabin.
Darabin. Yeah, that's where we played
the crowds, and it was nice.
It was. I remember Fabio and Rafael, I think the twins at United, that's how they got seen.
Did they?
Playing in the Man United Cup in the South American.
Do you know, speaking of that, you know what people forget about? Tom Rogic was nowhere and then went into some Nike academy.
That's right.
And got picked for Celtic or something.
Yeah, that's
like
right.
He was as great as player as he was, the way he got into the system is 1 in a billion.
Yeah,
not 1 in a million, 1 in a billion.
Yeah.
So, yeah, pretty special.
What was... Because I know, see, this is another thing. They've gotten rid of the football program at AIS. How good was that?
Fuck, it's the best. So I had offers to go to a couple of Premier League clubs and Celtic, not like contract offers, but like they were speaking to people in and around my family or whatever. And pretty much was like, we'll have him at 14, 15. if like his family can come live over here or he can live with someone because I'm too young to live on residence or digs. But then the AIS came in and like the AIS at the time had produced like 60% of the golden generation of Socceroos. So maybe more, you know. I think it was just Harry Kuehl and Cahill didn't really go. Everyone else kind of did. So when I went there, it was the best feeling ever because like you walk to the training ground, you're walking like on the Mark Viduka walk, going to training and stuff and all this like really cool shit. And I just think at the time we had as much criticism as he copped, Jan Verslaen, I think he was one of the best youth coaches in the world. Like, because if you look at the amount of players that went through the AIS that turned to professionals, the percentage is so high.
Yeah.
He just had one bad national tournament and they sacked him. But bringing all the best players in the one environment with a great coach, like I can't see how that can hurt the national team. Like since like, you know, if you look at the system we've had, that generation, we've gone to 5 World Cups.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So what's going to be interesting for me now is, one, the quality of coaching is going to be thinned out because a lot of them are local coaches, which is great. But you're also, you know, spreading out the talent pool now. So obviously training with better players every single day is going to make you better.
Exactly.
So I don't know what's going to happen with that.
What year were you born?
93.
93. So I reckon.
So I should be in the 12th year of my career. I've been retired for like 9.
Yeah, we'll get into that.
Which is fucked.
No, you can't look at it like that.
No, but it's just, man, I'm over it. But that's just funny because people like I just turned 30, really.
Yeah.
So
it's funny because we're 96 born, right? And I think the only guy that came out of our generation that we can say actually really made it, and even then, Aiden Hrustic.
Oh, man,
but he was the only one. But you know,
did he go overseas young?
Well, that's what we all had to do. We all had to leave because the AIS was gone.
Well,
there was nothing. There was really nothing.
There was talks with us. Remember with Alan Davidson.
Right, yeah.
And there was the AIS. There was like Gary Van Egmond was there and all that.
Yeah, Gary Van Egmond. He was
then he went to Newcastle. Yeah, and then it was at that period of sort of phasing out. Yeah. Right. And then he
went to Newcastle the night that he was supposed to come watch us play NTC.
Oh, really? So you guys were ballers.
Oh, back in the day.
Oh, right.
A long time
ago. Mate, Dutchie, he was one of my coaches. Hey. Fucking, I loved him, but a lot of people, it was love or hate with him.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I had a good relationship with him, but he'd still hammer me like no tomorrow. He's old school. But he was just a good guy.
So what was the day at the AIS like?
Well, because let me tell you why. Do you know why the program's done?
No.
Well,
so really. I look, it may be a bit of a Football Australia decision, but like fundamentally, the AIS was created to win gold medals. Like, so the government got funding. It was either in the late 80s or the 70s. I don't know what Olympics, so don't shoot me, but we didn't win a gold medal as a nation. So I think it was Bob Hawke, or whoever the Prime Minister was at the time, was like, that's fucked. So they invented the Australian Institute of Sport. Like, we're going to train all our best athletes in like the best facilities and we're going to try to win gold medals. And obviously the soccer was used as a development program.
Right.
And we had 23 boys there. It's probably like $100K scholarship, right, per year. So they're spending a lot of money on a team that's not really focusing on winning gold medals at the Olympics. We're trying to create the next generation of Socceroos. So commercially it didn't make sense and it went against the grain of what they did. And also we were little shits because we were like 14, 15, bro. And there's like, there's Olympians out that have won gold medals like that are 25 using it as like, they're going to bed early and stuff. And we're up playing PlayStation, screaming at each other, you know? So, and then I think the Football Australia thing was like, we want to go more to like the European model of having like academies and stuff, which I get. But at the end of the day, the reason why I like the AS is, bro, we don't have a big population for one. Even though we have a high participation rate in junior soccer, like the talent pool's spread out between 4 or 5 different sports and soccer's like 3rd or 4th down the pecking order.
Exactly.
So I think it's, for us, we have to look at it a bit differently. But I forgot what your question was. Sorry, I went on a rant there.
No, it was just like, what would a typical day at the AIS look like?
Because we were so young, we were still in school.
Okay.
So we went to this school, Lake Ginninderra, rough as fuck, man.
Really?
Yeah, and we all had a target on our back because we were like.
So they put you in just a normal school, just
public school, bro.
No way.
Which nothing wrong with a public school. I came from a private school in Melbourne, but this was like if there was a layer below a public school, it's that. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I rocked up to class one day, and I was 5 minutes late because our school bus from the AIS was late, and I walked into the class and there was like no chair there. So like for me to sit on, I was like, oh, like what do you want me to do? He's like, oh, go next door, grab a chair. So I go next door to look for a chair. I go, there's no chair in there. Comes back, he goes, don't worry about it. I just walked out and went back to AIS. Like, it was one of those schools. No one gave a shit.
No one cares, yeah.
But so we would wake up, we would gym at 6:30, which was tough in Canberra, especially through the winter because it gets really cold there. It gets really hot, but really, really cold. Then we would come back for lunch. Like, you would go off your classes, you could come back maybe for an hour or two, but you'd go back and spend a whole day there, and then we'd train in the afternoon. So we'd do 2 sessions a day, and then usually a couple nights a week, so maybe 4 nights a week, depending if you were going for like a VCE type score or you just wanted to like get your name ticked off and get a certificate. You finished school, you would go to study hall from 7 to 9, 2 nights a week or 4 nights a week.
Was there anyone there?
Yeah, we was like if you didn't do it, you wouldn't play type stuff. Like, it was a fucking disciplined camp. But the thing why it was quite tough is, as fun as it was with all the boys, like if I wanted to go out, I would have to like sign in and out. So it was like, you know, it was like you had no social life for like a couple of years, which was the tough part.
Yeah, definitely.
Did you just play games there, like on the weekend?
So we played in the youth league.
Oh, so in Canberra.
Yeah.
And
so
you just all those teams?
No, we played in the national
you
youth.
travelled.
You know, yeah. So we played in the A-League youth league. So we played like Sydney FC, Brisbane. Yeah, so we were in a national comp. Yeah, we go to Perth, but our home ground was obviously in Canberra. So it was a good comp for us because we were under 21 comp and we were 15 to 17. You know, so that was what it was.
So from there, would you say there was like a bit of a defining moment for you when you really thought, like obviously AIS, you're up here, but was there really a moment for you, but like, all right, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life?
I'd already had that moment before I went to the AIS, probably like when I was in Victoria, but I had a penny drop moment at the AIS in my second year. So my first year I did quite well, but I would say I was in the bottom half players of like talent. Like there was the age group above that was crazy good. Who can I reel off some names of? Brendan Hamill, Trent Sainsbury. Who else really went on? There was a few. Lawrence Thomas, he's Socceroo goalkeeper now. Karim Bullitt, he went to jail, but he was a fucking unbelievable footballer. Yeah, he was special. And then in my age group, we had like Mustafa Amini, Terry Antonis, Adam Taggart, Curtis Good. We had a lot of good players. I'm probably forgetting some, so I apologise. Jason Guerrier. But yeah, the second year it was like, fuck, now I've got to step up and have a big year because like I've got to get in the A-League. And I remember 2 out of the first 3 games of the season, the coach dragged me at halftime. Gary Van Egmond dragged me at halftime. I just remember thinking, fuck, like this isn't good. Like sometimes it wasn't, like maybe it was a little bit short of fitness, but it was like, I think the second time I probably made like 2 or 3 mistakes in a row. That was it. It just dragged me. And I lost my head. I was like, didn't even shake his hand. I was like pissed off. Yeah. But that moment there, then I started training every day by myself at the AIS. I'd do that outside of school because that second year I didn't have to go to school. I had enough points to like bludge out of it essentially, which was ridiculous. Yeah. My last 3 years of school, I did over 1. But yeah, so I'd train every day there and I just improved my fitness and my touch. And then gradually over the season, I think that getting dragged at those 2 games sort of changed my mentality to how I need to prepare for games.
So at the end of your AIS, say tenure, is it they always try and get you to an A-League system or do you have that option to...
Well, you're probably already signed.
Yeah,
so I got signed to Gold Coast with like 12 games to go in the season. Mustafa Amini and Terry Antonis were signed before the season even started. Yeah. So Musti actually played a season in the A-League already, like when we were playing in the youth league. Right. For Central Coast. So some did, they would always definitely try to help you for sure. But some would naturally, because you're playing the youth league and also for a club, if you want young talent, you just look at the AIS because that's where the best is, right? Yeah. So you're in the shop window. Yeah. That's typically how it would work.
And then how was that moment for you, that A-League contract?
Pretty special, right? But there was a couple of things that when I look back, it's interesting. So my goal was to always come back to Melbourne. Play for Victory because I went for them as a kid, like when the A-League, probably like you guys, the A-League started, I was just getting into football, seriously. So I was always a Victory fan and we played the Victory Youth League one day at Amy Park and Ernie Merrick was the coach still. And we were told, like, I got told he's coming to watch you. So I was like, fuck, I better have a good game. I did. I scored a penalty, I set up a goal and we beat them 4-2 and they had like some senior players drop down. They had a way older team than us and we smashed them. And then I got a call after saying that they want to offer me a trial. And then I played Gold Coast, I think a week later, and Miron Bleiberg was there. and Mike Mulvey I think Mike Mulvey was one of the best youth coaches in Australia. Like Gold Coast, I don't know if you remember, they went back-to-back in the youth league.
Yeah.
Winning it. So they were the best team. But I had a good game against them and scored. And then the next day, Gold Coast contract offer. So it was like, go on trial or do you take an offer? And my coach, Yanni, goes, you go where you wanted. So like he endorsed going to Gold Coast. And at the time, Gold Coast had Jason Chelina, Shane Smeltz. They started getting crowds at Gold Coast. So I was watching Gold Coast. It was like a fucking good team. And then within 5 weeks of me signing, all of them started leaving. Which it wasn't a bad thing because I thought, I'll get opportunity. But I didn't realize the club lack of stability, which is partially why I love to point a few fingers at other people around me that I think should have known better at the time. But,
well, what happened?
Bro, they just fucking, no fans were turning up when I turned up, which is a massive problem. I mean, even still some of the teams now, but at least they've got a bit more DNA and history in the league. Yeah. Like Gold Coast didn't have any fans, and then whether people liked it or not, Clive Palmer was making a lot of noise, bro. A lot of noise that the league didn't like. Yeah. Like he put, I've said this. I think I said this on the podcast I did about this, like talking about my career. But he put these freedom of speech signs over our sponsors once, just to have a go at the A-League. So they revoked the license off him. So there was no club.
That was the end.
So that's basically was it the demise?
Yeah, the demise. Yeah. Well, I think so. Like he was trying to.
It makes sense, man.
Allegedly, he was trying to build a rebel A-League. So.
Yeah. He wanted control, basically.
Yeah, well, he wanted to have influence. And the thing that like still pisses me off to this day is that boys work their asses off to get there.
Yeah.
And you get a moneymaker that allegedly is doing stupid shit.
Yeah, you don't play
and, allegedly fucks people's careers.
So how long did they actually exist for, Gold Coast?
I think 3 or 4 years.
Were you there?
I was just there for I had a 2-year contract, but I played 1 season.
And then they went under?
Yeah, then they went under.
And then that's when you got your move to Adelaide?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep, correct.
Did you come across him at all, Clive Palmer?
Yeah, once or twice. Man, when you're dealing with him, particularly because you played for his team, like he was a great guy.
Yeah, could have.
The funny story, he I don't know where he was at, with what was going on, but from what I was told, Stephen Lustica, they had a preseason game against Fulham, and apparently Lustica played unbelievable. He still plays in the league today, Stevie. Yeah, good guy, but he had a great game. And I don't know if this is true, but this is what they told me. But Clive Palmer thought it was another boy called Mitch Bevan. And Mitch Bevan was a great player, but and I think he would admit this, his appetite to be a pro football and his love for the game was not there at the top level. Like it just didn't suit him. Like he just wanted to be a chill kind of guy. He was a bit artsy, very talented though. But Clive used to endorse like Mitch Bevan playing in the first team because he thought he had this worldie game against Fulham, and apparently it wasn't him. So shit like that was happening. So he was like, Bevo was in the youth league, but he was making sure that he would start some games. When I first joined and I wasn't getting a game, he was making sure he would start in the first team and stuff. So shit like that was going down. Like, it just makes you like, you lose your head a bit because you're like, what the fuck? You can't even compete here. But it was, look, man, I made a lot of great friendships. Working with Mike Mulvey was amazing. When Miron got sacked, that's when I got my A-League debut and I played like the last 8 or 9 games of the season. So I got a taste for the league, which was obviously what I went there for.
Just a quick break in between our episode. If you're wondering where you can buy all this unbelievable merch from, where can you get it from, Matty?
So you can get it from our website at culturalclub.com.au. Use the code AMY15 to get yourself 15% off. Now let's get straight back into the episode.
So then once the club went under, obviously you chose Adelaide, but were there a few clubs knocking on the door? Or?
Yeah, so Melbourne Victory was the one that came in. I don't know, do you guys remember Jim Magilton?
Yeah.
He
was a Scottish bloke?
Yeah, English or something, but he was, so when Harry Kuehl was at Victory, he was the coach. And he wanted to sign me because I had a good game against him, and then he got sacked. And so we were kind of waiting out, hoping like we could still go to Victory because there's obviously the people around the club are still there. It's just not the coach. But it took forever for them because they had to wait till the season finished to get Ange. Because Ange, I think, was still at Brisbane.
Yeah.
So then I had an offer from Adelaide and I just like had to take it because I couldn't say wait because I want to go to your rivals.
Yeah.
So, I ended up taking the offer to Adelaide. And Adelaide, to be fair for me, it was like a bit of a no-brainer. It was a stable club. The team they had at the time was fucking, Dario Vidicic, John McCain, Bruce Jitte, Cassio, Nigel Bogard. Like it was just Ian Ramsey. They had a really good team, Eugene Galekovic. So it was like a good club, stable club. It was everything at the time I was just craving after the Gold Coast experience.
Yeah. What was, I know we'll get into this maybe a bit later actually, but best player you probably played with in Adelaide?
Marcelo Carrusca.
Yeah,
that's what we were saying before.
But do you know what? Like, the person, like, Carrusca was like, you can see why he played for like Galatasaray and played in the Argentina under-20 team, which like, think of making the Argentinian I made the Australian under-20 team for a World Cup team, which was huge. Imagine making it for Argentina or Brazil. Jeez. Do you know what I mean? They've got like a billion, millions and millions of people vying for that team, it feels like. And so he was in that team with Tevez and Mascherano. So he was like the most gifted footballer, or one of the most talented footballers that when you played with him on the big, like sort of the biggest stages of the A-League games or the rival games, he would still like he was playing in his backyard.
Yeah.
And that, you take admiration out of that because they're the most pressure games and he doesn't change.
Definitely.
But probably the player that I loved and learnt the most of and fucking was in awe of, like I used to follow him everywhere. We became best friends, was Dario Vidicic.
Yeah.
He was like, he could score on his left, his right. He could score headers. He could score free kicks. He could take penalties. He could take set pieces. He could beat you in a sprint. He had everything, in my opinion. And he still played some super high height to the game. But I always think he could have like really, really done some pretty special stuff. I thought he was that talented. Yeah.
Did you have Gombau as your coach?
Yeah.
What was that like? Because he had a pretty interesting like rise to his career. He was at La Masia, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Did he was trying to implement that a lot?
He's someone I kind of like. His philosophy was easier for me to get because of what I was coached at the AOS. It was like I was coached by a Dutch coach. Obviously La Masia's foundation is from Johan Cruyff, so it's obviously a Dutch background. So I kind of got it, but nonetheless, the way he implemented it was literally like ABC. It was like you started in kindergarten, went to primary school, high school, and then you started graduating. You could, like, it took so much time and it was so diligent, and the work and his focus of how he did it was, or like his way of doing it was just, I learned so much about football from him. But it took time, man. Like he was on the ropes early because we weren't getting results. Like in training, we knew we were fucking playing well, and even games we were controlling games, but we weren't winning, and everyone was calling for his head. And then I don't know when it clicked, but then it just clicked, and it was like, it almost felt like you could beat anyone. Or we knew that we would have the ball for like 60, 70% of the time, playing the way that we did.
Would he like allow you stray away a little bit from that, or was it he was like a hard ass on that?
Nah, so pretty much there was rules and movements in the defensive third and the middle third, and then kind of free reign in the front third.
And it was always high press, like straight away.
10 seconds, win it back. If you don't, then we'll sit. Then we'll give you respect. That was his thing. Yeah.
It's nice, man. It's nice hearing what coaches were like as well, because you don't really, we always interview the players. But then you play under a big coach. Well, he's a big coach.
Especially how he's been brought up. Like,
exactly.
Well, yeah. It's funny how I met him. My dad, after my first season at Adelaide, I didn't play that much the first year. I went in, man, I've hit the ground running under John Kuzmina. And I thought I was going to play every week. Like, he put me straight in the Asian Champions League squad and stuff. And I was still 18 at the time. So I was like, and the team we had, like, we just signed Carrusca, Geronimo. We still hadn't got rid of Serge Van Dijk, Zen and Caravella. Like, it was a crazy good team. Like, every day was like, but I was like flying in training.
I remember. That's how I remember.
But then, and I played the first 3 or 4 rounds, and I got osteitis pubis. So I missed like the middle chunk. What the fuck is that, by the way?
I got it too.
Yeah, I missed the middle chunk of the season. And then I came back a few games, but then Cozzy got sacked. And when Michael Valkanis went in as coach, I started like every game, played full games, got my first goal in the A-League, and started getting some runs on the board. And then the season finished. We dropped it. We lost to Brisbane, I think, in the or the semi-final or something, and they ended up winning it that year with Mike Mulvey, I think it was. But so I thought, like, I'm going to have a big year at Adelaide, but then they got rid of Mike Mulvey and they got this guy, Josip Gombau. And I was on holiday in Barcelona with my dad, and we could catch the last game of La Liga, and Barcelona were going to win. It was Eric Abidal's last game, and it was an absolute clinic, bro. Iniesta scored, Fabregas scored. It was beautiful to watch. But before the game, we're sitting in the nosebleeds because we got tickets late, and I just saw the football director walking in front of us, and he was over there getting Gombau to sign for Adelaide.
Oh, wow.
So I actually got to spend a day with Gombau in Barcelona before he came. And he was giving me big ups. He like already knew, he'd watched the games already of me when I played. And he took me to a Barca B game. He took me to a third division game where he wanted me to help scout, but I think he was already going to sign him, Sergio Thirio.
Oh, yeah.
So he was playing for some team. And we went and watched him. We had a really good relationship at the start. But yeah, we ended up having a pretty big fallout towards the end. So, although that happened, like, man, playing for him, like, I defy any footballer to not enjoy it. It was like it's the most beautiful form of football you could play.
100%. It's so easy on the eyes too.
Yeah, and as a player, like, you're not doing dumb shit. Like, you know what I mean? Every training session's got purpose. It's all technical, which is why you want to play. You know, you don't want to. I hate playing with the ball in the air. It's like, everything's so calculated with what you do.
Yeah.
So it was, that's why we won a lot of games. And that's why Adelaide, in my opinion, won the premiership, because everything they did, even though under the other coach, I think Guilherme Amor, his name is, who's a Barca legend.
Yeah, the Barca.
It was like he didn't change anything.
Yeah. Well, they almost had, they still sort of, I don't know about these days, but they gained that reputation of being a ball-playing side, that tiki-taka of the A-League, you know what I mean?
And they appointed coaches, like you said, when Gombau left, they got someone in the same grain, so they could just take over.
Have you seen that guy? I can't pronounce his name, so I apologize, but have you seen his stats for Barcelona?
Yeah.
Bro, he's the most credentialed football player to ever coach in the A-League, I think. He's fucking insane.
I'm going to ask, because you brought it up.
Yeah.
But what happened? What was the falling out?
So pretty much, to get a game in Gombau's team as a midfielder, as technical as you can be as a footballer, and my technical ability was probably my strength, right? Like naturally, not naturally, I worked really hard at it, but like that was naturally where my game, like with the ball, was fine. Athleticism was always okay, but in the A-League against men, my body was still adjusting. I hadn't even played like 30 games yet, so I'm still getting used to, like I'm talking 15 minutes in some games, you feel fucked.
Yeah.
Like I don't know if I can see this out. Do you know what I mean? That's how much running you do initially, especially when you come off the bench. You do 2 sprints, you're like, I can't run anymore.
Yeah.
It's like 20 minutes to go.
Yeah.
But I can't remember what it was, but he gave me this challenge of like, because of the defensive press, and particularly when your centre-backs and full-backs have it, the volume of movement around the pitch, you never stop running. Like there's no relaxation. As much as it's beautiful to watch with the football, your movement is so high, even with the ball. Like if someone's got the ball there, you know where you need to be. So there's a lot of movement. And every time you get the ball's released quick. So, it's high volume kind of stuff. But he gave me this challenge to get fitter because he just felt like my reaction time of defensive pressure and all this stuff wasn't there. So I ended up hiring I won't go on a long winding story here, but I ended up hiring a private fitness coach and training with him. And then somehow, bro, I don't know how, this guy got wind that I was doing these private running sessions through the week. And at this point, by the way, I'm nursing a fucking stress fracture in my foot that I didn't know of. But I was in the last year of my contract and I was playing every game off the bench and making impact. I just couldn't get a start. So I was doing all I could. But this guy got wind that I was training with someone. And he wrote an article saying like Adelaide were unfit and all this sort of stuff. And then that got Josip kind of pretty much put me into his office and, without going into too much detail, suspended me for 2 games. Just purely like, I don't think he cared that I did what I did because he even admitted like Puyol and Javi had their own trainers and it's normal. But the situation of what happened, I made the club look vulnerable.
Yeah.
So they suspended me for 2 games and then after that I never got picked again. Yeah.
It's almost he put the club's image.
Yeah. I put his image.
His image ahead of one of his.
He was basically telling you to get fit and you were doing it and it's like now you're in the wrong.
Yeah.
But
it was weak as
you look at
fuck,
it from
bro.
like a fucking political sort of.
I wish I had my like demeanor and maturity and head now because I wouldn't have copped it. But at the time, like, what do you do? Do you know what I mean? Like, and I just remember feeling lost. But yeah, that was how it just from that handling of that situation. I just turned 20. Do you know what I mean? So in my mind, I felt like 20. I was an adult. But looking back now, I'm still not even grown. I'm 30 now. You know what I mean? So like back then, I sort of I needed more of an arm around me rather than fucking castrate me away.
Yeah, it's. I think it's a problem across the board, man. Not obviously
correct. And this is not me playing victim. It fucking happens a lot in football. And my situation, honestly, suspended for 2 games, no worries. There's a lot worse, bro.
But it's what happens after, right?
Yeah, well, it's just the relationships,
Exactly.
And look, fundamentally, if I was good enough, I'd still be playing. And if my body was fine, I'd still be playing. So there was things that I did that probably, you know, weren't great. Like I had, I did essentially that last second half of the season, my foot was shot, so I couldn't play much either. And because of that, I didn't get offered another contract. And that's what I was kind of running uphill. But in that moment, like just the way that was handled, that's why I've got a bit of a sour taste.
Of course.
I reckon he would now apologize for it too, for sure. But I think in the moment it was heated, you know, like his name and face on the back page of the paper every day. And this guy was writing articles. So I think it just put the club in a shit situation.
Do you think that sort of incident affected like sort of your image going forward in terms of other clubs that wanted to like?
Nah, because no one knew.
Really knew about it.
Bro, the only people knew I got suspended for a year ago when I did my 100th podcast or whatever, and I spoke about my own story.
So it wasn't
said
something that blew up.
No one knew. Okay. No one knew. Everyone just thought I wasn't picked, like injured.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that was the reason why. But nah, the thing that did affect me was that I didn't play the last half of the season. So the good games I was having, like an 8 or 9 games run that I was having that was good, it just wasn't in people's mind anymore. So I was getting offered trials, not contracts.
And you weren't having it?
Nah. But I trialed. I went to Western Sydney.
Okay.
Fuck, man, this sounds like a sob story, doesn't it?
No.
It's real, man.
It's the reality.
Nah, bro, it gets
exactly.
fucked, man, because I have just man management, bro. And like, this is not me playing victim. This is just genuine facts of what happened. But so I didn't train for like 3-4 months to try to get my foot right. As soon as I knew, so when I stopped playing at Adelaide after the suspension and stuff, I went to an Ollie tournament and came back and I was like, my foot's fucked. I can't do it. I had to tell the club. Then Josep came over to me and said, look, Jakey, like, I'm really sorry. This situation, I honestly handled, like, I couldn't think you could handle better, but he come over to me. It was like March. Season finished probably May. So he gave me ample enough time. He's just like, hey, look, I'm thinking about maybe re-signing you on like the bare minimum money, but we've got an opportunity to sign James. Like he was almost saying like, I want to give you a chance because I see you got talent, but you haven't had much luck this year. But he's like, we can get James Jago. So we're going to take him. So I'm going to tell you now so you can try get another club. So as soon as he told me that, that's when I was like, well, I'm just taking care of my foot. I'm not going to bust my balls for this guy.
Yeah.
So I didn't play the rest of the year, which again, probably ego got in the way. Maybe I didn't need to do that, but I couldn't run anyway, mind you. So I didn't play for like from January till June or May a game. And I just remember thinking like, what am I going to do? I'm not getting a contract offer. I got rid of my old agent because when we were trying to get other clubs, I'm sure he was trying, and I didn't really help him because I hadn't had too many. Even though when I did play, I played really well. I didn't have like recent form for him to work with. But it was the day he told me to go call another A-League, one of my old A-League, Mike Mulvey, and see if I could get a contract. That's when my dad said, no, we're getting rid of him. Yeah. But yeah, then I ended up calling this guy, Andy Burnell. And shout out Andy, because last time I spoke about him, he ended up calling me and like thanking me for what he said, because I don't think he realised his impact. But Andy Burnell used to play for Reading. He played for the Socceroos, and he could speak. He played in La Liga, so he could speak Spanish. But through his English and Spanish connections, he ended up being David Beckham's translator in Madrid. Oh. So he's Beckham's right-hand man. But he was a football agent as well. So he was based in Canberra. And Ryan Edwards and Tom Rodgick were his players at the time, or like two players that are sort of in my age bracket. I think he may have had more, but Tom Rodgick was his big one. And I just called him up and said, like, hey, man, this is my situation. I've heard about you. I want to see if we can work together. And he just asked me, where am I at with my body? I said, I'm probably like 2 weeks away. He goes, I want you to come train with me in Canberra for like 3 weeks. You're going to come live here, live with me, and you're going to, because he had a boxing gym, I'm going to get you super fit and we'll figure it all out. So I did. I went there. Bro, 5 days in, Western Sydney call him. Tony Popovich says, like, we have him on trial. I was like, fuck, Birch. I'm fucked. Yeah, like, I'm fucked doing this shit. How am I going to go train an A-League team? You know, it's been like 6 months. And he kind of told Popper that, and Popper said something along the lines of like, well, if he wants to be here, he'll be here. So paid my own way there. Luckily, my old Adelaide teammate, Daniel Mullen, had a spare room, stayed with him. And, bro, trained really well. Thought I was on the cusp of a contract. My old AIS goalkeeping coach, he said, mate, you just play well in the game, you'll get one. Because I had like some good training sessions. I shocked myself. But then the game came. We played I had to go back to Canberra with the team. We played a Canberra team, and I couldn't get near it, bro. I remember feeling like, you know, when you haven't played for a while, and even though like it'll try and pass there, it'll come off your shin and go a little bit right. Like that stuff was happening. I just had a stinker. Yeah. And the thing that this is where my mind started to go, but Popper didn't even tell me like I wasn't good enough. just the silent treatment. So I just ended up figuring out that I wasn't going back. So that was probably one of the hardest moments of my career because it's like I didn't even
you don't have that closure.
I didn't even warrant like I paid my own way, trained well, just one shit game. I didn't even warrant his time to just verbally give me words to say you're not coming back.
Yeah.
So that type of stuff that fucked me. In hindsight, that shit shouldn't phase you, but it does, bro. When you're 20,
man. Of course it does.
Definitely.
Yeah. So
then after that, was that sort of?
That's when I went overseas.
Was that when you went overseas?
Yeah, because I was like, fuck, there's 10 teams in the A-League. The stats at the time was like, there's 20 players under the age of 20 in the league. So it's a pretty of a privilege to be in that. So it's pretty hard to get a gig. Like you're only working off when there's actual availability on rosters.
Yeah.
So my chances of getting in after what was going on was probably slim. So I had an English passport and that's when I went overseas.
And how was that? Where did you go?
Reading, Blackburn Rovers, Oldham and Hibernian. So Reading was more a favour for Birch, I think, in hindsight. But for me, it was beautiful because it's like 2-3 weeks training with the reserves, the odd training with the senior team, even the under-18s I would go train with. Like, it was just training with English football, getting used to it. I remember I did a training session with like Royston Drenthe, like Anton Ferdinand. There was heaps of good players there. And I did quite well, bro, I felt. But like over there, and this was a catalyst for Blackburn as well, like if you're not fucking 10 times better than some of these kids, why are they going to invest in you? Why is they investing in a kid from Melbourne when they can invest in local product? They've been training for, and also, man, like I may be 1 in a million in Australia in my age group or whatever, but you go over there, there's fucking 40 Jakes. Do you know what I mean? Like around the corner from each other. So, because it's the number one sport.
Yeah.
So I didn't do bad, but I didn't get picked up. Oldham Athletic was like, fuck. I had a practice game. I trained there for 2 weeks. Lee Johnson was the coach. He was the youngest coach in British football at the time. I thought I was going to sign. He said to me, he's like, we're going to sign you. And then he brought me into his office and I thought we'd gone in to chat about it. He's like, I could see his face drop. He's like, man, I'm gutted. Like, I'm really sorry. Like, he goes, you can train with us if you want, but I don't want to hold you back. But it's come up, we can get this player from Aston Villa on loan in your position and like, we've got to take him. Fucking the guy scored 8 goals in like 8 games after it as well. So that one hurt a little bit. But then I went to Hibernian and that's when I really fucked my knee. Like a week in, which was a great experience still. But like I felt like I could have got in there, but my body just kind of gave up on me. And that's at this point I hadn't played for like, it felt like 18 months or something. So I was like, I just want to come back home and play in the NPL and just try reconnect with the game and remember why it was fun. Do you know what I mean? Because it felt like for 2-3 years in the A-League and beyond, like from Gold Coast to roller coaster, 3 coaches in 2 years at Adelaide. And like it sounds like a lot of excuses, but it was just a lot to take in from when you talk about hitting every single team and having this perfect career going in, just dealing with like the business of football and the setbacks. It just ended up getting too much for me. And then my actual body was just never the same.
And it's crazy listening to this because
you can relate so much to this, man.
Yeah, well, that's why, you know what? Like, I never like talking about it because I'm like, fuck, man, stop sucking. Who gives a shit, you know? But bro, when I put it out there, I was amazed by how many messages I got. Because it is, bro. Like, if there's 1% of people, 1% of footballers make it. There's 99% with our stories or whatever, you know?
Exactly.
So people relate to it. So I was quite happy in the end that I actually spoke as open as I did about it. And even now, like, people will hear it and they'll be like, they'll get it. Do you know what I mean?
You should. That's
honestly
honestly
what we try and do as well. Like, we didn't obviously, we didn't play in the A-League and that, whatever, but we were playing overseas for a bit and stuff. And it's like, you said, man, it's like gets to a point you love and breathe this game, and then you're like, you don't even like you fall out of love, man, and you're like, what's my life now? You know what I mean? Like that's why I was like, I sort of wanted to ask you, like, obviously your whole life would have been football, and then when you realise, like, man, I don't know, I don't think it's going to happen anymore. Where do you go from there, man? Like mentally, how were you? Like, because I know we struggled a lot, man. That first year, we were a mess.
I
didn't know what to do with myself. I didn't know anything else. I didn't care about school, nothing, just football.
Yeah.
So I was like,
fuck. I don't know. I kind of have to break it back through the years, but pretty much like I went back to South. We won a championship. I hated it. I didn't really play as well as I could have there, but I just didn't like. I fucking hate the NPL. It sucks, in my opinion.
Understand.
Do you know what I mean? Like, what's the point of being the best player in the NPL and winning it if you don't? Like, you can't go anywhere.
Literally,
Do you know what I mean?
100%.
Was my thing. And also probably my ego. I didn't like coming back down You know,
It's hard to accept.
all
When you
that
get
shit.
exposed to a top level.
Oh,
And then
bro,
you
I
gotta
was
mentally-
playing against
you can't-
Avondale
that's
and
what
I was
I mean,
taking a
man.
corner and there's a kid on the swing almost kicking me in the head. Like, do you know what I mean? I'm like, what the fuck is
What's
this?
going on?
It is
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
But mind you, I'd say like with the NPL, fucking some of the best friendships I've ever had come from it. So, you know, for that reason, but from a football perspective, to drop down at a young age and try to go back up, I didn't have the motivation to do that. And then my hip, like my recurring injuries from Adelaide just kind of kept coming. And then that's when I kind of like sort of made peace with the decision. I don't want to do football, but in a sense of like, there was a lot of emotion attached to it. Because at this point, a lot of the players that I'd played with and, you know, in some people's eyes, I'd probably be better than at certain points of, you know, our junior youth career and even early A-League career. We're starting to play for the Socceroos and stuff. So when that started happening, as happy as I was from, I didn't watch football for like 3-4 years or something.
Yeah.
Can't remember how long it was. Like about getting phone calls to come to this or that, and I just like would never go, but wouldn't even watch it on TV. And then I don't know what I think it was like. Honestly, man, starting the podcast again.
Yeah.
Starting the podcast. Maybe just like there was a healing process. Speaking at like every athlete,
Definitely.
bro. The every athlete has one thing in common. It's retirement.
Yeah.
So do you know what I mean? Whether I'd went through it at 20 or 35, even though I would have liked to have more millions in the bank and stuff, at the end of the day, you still go through the exact same thing that Harry Kuehl will go through, and he's got millions in the bank. Is that the identity crisis of who the fuck are you again?
Exactly.
It's probably harder in someone like yourself because Harry Kuehl's got the fucking millions in the bank.
That's what I thought. That's what I
You know
thought.
what I mean?
And then Johnny McCain told me, nah, he's going through the exact same emotions. And don't get me wrong, I think, yeah, but you tick the boxes. So I still think that. But he still, like, he came from a view like, bro, it's just as hard for what he thought it was for me as it is for him. But he said why it's better for me. He goes, you're younger.
Yeah.
You're like, I've got to fucking
Work it out.
I've got kids in a marriage. I've got to make a decision now.
Yeah.
You can rejig your whole life.
Yeah.
Do you know?
It's true.
I mean, I wish I got that advice at 21. I got
Well,
it like
that's the thing,
26,
yeah.
but it still was great advice, you know? So there is, like, depends on how you look at things, you know?
What it was for me, it was, you know, we got back from Europe, nothing was happening, and I knew I wasn't going back. But when people would ask, I'd say, yeah, I'm looking for clubs.
Yeah.
Number one, I hated football when I got back.
Yeah.
Right? Didn't want to see a football, anything to do with football anymore. But it was that being able to say, like, to yourself, it's over.
Yeah.
Like, give it up, man.
Yeah,
You know
it's
what I mean?
hard, bro.
It's so hard, man.
Do you know what it is? It's like, because sometimes like people say maybe you're not good enough or this or that. It's just the way football can reject you. It can bring you up and love you, and the way it can spit you out violently is what's really hard to take, because it's giving you so much happiness, but it's giving you, you know, all your pain as well.
Exactly right.
So dealing with that when you're not, you know, you don't have the most emotional intelligence as a young guy, or you don't necessarily have other interests or, you know, skill sets that you're aware of at the time, it's a very dangerous part of your life to navigate through. And that's where there's a lot of problems with not just soccer, you know, all sports. When they come out, those initial few years, the decisions they can make are quite, you know, can be catastrophic to some people's lives.
I just think it's 100%. I agree, but I think, you know, there's got to be something there for people like, you know, us that have, you know, have been spat out, because I would have loved someone to just talk to that have been similar in a similar situation.
Right. Yeah,
and
maybe,
like,
maybe we should start a fucking service, bro.
Well, man, honestly, like,
I'm a capitalist though, bro. I'll be charging people. And that goes against the humane aspect.
Oh, this more or less, it's what we're doing now. Do you know what I mean?
It'd be a lucrative bit, man. Yeah. Well, I guess listening to this stuff, that's what I saying before. The messages I was getting, like it did pushing out this message that you're doing, it will help people.
Because I think, like, you look at it now, we can talk about it, but at the time, our intelligence is not thinking that way. We're just like, man, my life's over. Like, what the fuck am I going to do now?
Really, we're 19.
You know, but you're like, you got your whole life.
But yeah, that's life though, and that's the athlete in you. You want to sprint to the finish, you know.
Yeah.
You don't realize. That's why you just got to, man. Everyone goes through it in their own ways. You just got to live, go your path, you know, and you figure it out. But I think one thing that maybe our generation lacked, which is getting into sport now, is working with like sports psychologists.
Oh yeah,
like that. For me, and I fucking mate, I can't emphasize this anymore. Understanding how your brain works.
Huge.
Like, we didn't know that coming through our generation. I reckon the generation now coming through is a bit different. We just tried to be the best footballer.
Yeah.
And like, if you didn't play well, fucking be upset. If you fucking, you know, see a tackle, win the ball, fucking all this shit. but no one understood the psychology of how to, work with the ebbs and flows of the game and the business. And I think a lot of athletes now are getting a bit more of that, particularly in the AFL. I know it's very common. I don't know what it's like in other sports, but I personally think if I had that in my junior day, my career could have been different. So that's something I went to the AIS, bro. I say it wasn't there. It was there. But if anyone went there, we thought they were weak.
Exactly.
It's
Do you know what I mean?
There's a stigma around it.
I mean, we're kids, but if you went to that, like this guy's, you know what I mean?
What's wrong with him?
Yeah. So, but that I wish I had looked more into.
Well, we interviewed an AFL player, ex-AFL player, it was 2 weeks ago, and just listening to him, I was a bit blown away by the support that was available, like the resources you get through that system.
Yeah.
And like you said, I would have.
Bro, do you know how insane it is now? I mean, they've got some clubs, and I know this for a fact, some clubs, the sports psych sit on the bench. So if a player's running hot and wide-eyed and turns the ball over 2 times in 3 minutes, playing in front of 60, 70,000 people at the MCG, and they come off with fucking panic attack, as they're doing their little walk, the sports psych will walk with them.
Yeah.
And just fucking bring him back, man. Just bring him back, relax, all that sort of shit. Imagine that, bro.
So crazy.
How good is that?
I know.
Because that's sometimes, that's all you need is the voice just to calm down, settle down, because you can do it.
Exactly.
Right.
So
I'm gonna have to ask this because we're big Del Piero fans.
Oh, Alejandro.
Yeah. Well, I'm not a Juve fan, but
might still be in here, mate.
He's named after him, mate. Aren't you named after him?
Yeah, that's what my mum said. But no. What was that like?
Bro, 2006 World Cup, I was in the Vic under-13 team. As a team, we watched the semi-final when he scored that fucking top bin goal.
Yeah, against Germany.
Yeah. So, bro, he's a living legend, right?
Yeah.
When he came to the A-League, I was just so excited because I was like, wow. What I was shocked when he first came is how good he was still.
Yeah.
Because I think was he 38, 39?
I think it was.
And he looked like he was carrying a bit of weight.
Yeah.
Bro, but his feet were so magic. Honestly, people can say, yeah, he was older though, but I was like, but I'm telling it's still fucking Del Piero, bro.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? 38 Del Piero is better than 25-year-old fucking, John Smith down the road, bro. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
But it was more it was a big moment, but to be honest, when you're playing in it,
you don't think that way.
no, not at all. It's now looking back on it and the whole theatrics of how I even ended up playing that game and being put on him was it's kind of a story in itself. I'd probably sell it a little bit, but at the end of the day, I played 8 games off the bench. I was doing well, but this is when Gombao's you got to get fit. Karuska got injured midweek, and Gombao's you're playing this week, but he's you're gonna have to take the big man, And I was like, fucking take the big man, bro. I was like, yeah, okay. I was like, fine. So my job was I was still ball playing, but it was more just minimize space as soon as he gets it.
Mm.
And bro, I would come in, and this is when you go to the top level, man. Players that say soft or what, he's so smart. If I come in a bit too quick and didn't hit the brakes, and I'm talking just touch him, touch, he'll drop.
Goes down. Yeah.
Touch, drop, free kick because he's Del Piero.
Yeah.
So you have to he's manipulating the game. You can't hit him hard because he knows how to work the system. He knows how to make it look like a foul. He knows how to roll you when you're giving him pressure on the wrong part of the body.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of education in that, but I had a good game. And I ended up taking a penalty and scoring.
Yeah.
And then it was just a special experience. I spoke about it heaps of times, but just it was the biggest game in Adelaide that season because the big Italian population and all these Juventus fans turned up as well. So it was just, very special. Something that I'm glad I was able to do, given my sort of career was short, that I could, say that I shared a pitch with him.
Did you get to have a moment at all? Or
yeah, I remember on the pitch, not a moment that people class a moment to me, but I just imagine Alessandro Del Piero looking you in your eyes who the fuck's this kid? I had that moment. And I don't know if it was this guy's a piece of shit or he's not bad, I don't know what it was, but just having that thing, it was almost fuck, that's pretty cool. I never thought I'd be one man marking it, but having an intimate fucking eye contact.
He's such a legend, man.
Did you go after his shirt or?
No, you know what? It wasn't, bro, A-League budgets, bro.
They didn't let you swap?
No, he would swap. He would swap his tops. But naturally in the A-League at the time, you weren't our team at Adelaide, we had four kits each, They could get more, but it's fucking funding.
It was
and there's not much money in it, bro. I'm telling you. They're selling it well.
Yeah, but it's not Piero. Surely
I
you
would
can.
have
Yeah.
fuck, I don't care, bro.
In saying that though, so I never thought of it because of that. But I think Awen McBill got it in the change rooms after.
Yeah, good.
Because there was a photo of him with it. And I think Del Piero, Sydney knew they've got to get a lot of Del Piero tops because everyone's going to want it every week.
Yeah.
But at the time, man, I was just too worried. And he'd come off the field as well. He went on the bench in like the 80th minute or something. So I didn't even think about it.
Yeah, he's an absolute gentleman. I've had the pleasure of meeting him.
Apparently the boys. So Ryan Grant, I'm pretty sure this is true, Buster. Don't hate me. But when he turned up to Sydney, I'm not going to say watches, but I'm pretty sure he turned up with his own book and gave everyone a book, and it was about him. And it was about him.
I got the book.
And like, can you imagine a guy? He's that good that in his mind he doesn't understand that probably looks like the most arrogant move ever.
Yeah.
But because it's him and the way he does it, it's like this guy's thank you, bro. Like, I'll look into it. Do you know what I mean? Because he's so like he kind of gives off a vibe he wouldn't hurt a fly.
Yeah.
Like he's he's got a gentle soul, but he's on a football field. He's a killer.
I've told this story, I think, maybe before on the old podcast. But I went to that book launch thing that you're talking about, and he had like a dinner, right? You had to buy a ticket to it, very expensive. Obviously, he was a legend for me growing up, so I went. And the MC's like, all right, if everyone stays in their seat, Alessandro will come around to every single one of you and take a photo, sign, whatever it is. As soon as he left his area, everyone just got up and ran over, right? And I had just gotten into the VIP. I snuck in and I was calling out to him, and my mum was with me. She's like calling out to him in Italian saying, oh, I've named my kid after you, you know. So obviously I wasn't, but it was just whatever to get his attention. And he said, don't worry, I'll be back. Like, I'll come back for you. And I thought, yeah, all right, man, no worries. He went through the whole room, didn't stop for anyone, came back and took a photo with me.
Yeah, it's special.
And it's something like that just blew my mind, man. I'll never forget it. Never forget it. This guy's like a legend, man. He didn't have to do that.
Everyone speaks about him like in a great light, particularly the Sydney boys.
Yeah.
They speak about him like he's a great guy, like a great import player. And people forget the league was paying his salary. Like he was on, it wasn't on the most money he's ever been on, but
still.
His funding was outside the salary cap. He was brought here to market the league, and I think at that time, like I think the A-League was at its best. I wish I could take myself out of that equation, but like boys, and I don't mind you, I haven't played in it. I think the Sydney year when they were dominating, they were probably as good as team as any team's been in the A-League. But the quality of imports and the quality of domestic players through that 2010 to 2015 was a special time in the A-League.
Let's have a quick chat about the podcast, your podcast, the Unlaced podcast. If you haven't already, please. What are you doing?
Yeah.
Check it out.
What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing?
How was that? How was that born? How did that come about?
I don't know, bro. It sounds crazy to say I don't know. But I think I just felt like I got a big network. I know a lot of football players. I was like, it's a pretty good story to tell, the athlete transition aspect. Like I did a lot of research around the mental health of athletes, like the amount of players that go to drugs and in jail from like professional sport, particularly soccer, is crazy. And like people that never recover from not being a footballer again, that sort of stuff. So I thought like what a great thing to talk about. But as much as I'm passionate on athlete transition, there's only so much lifespan that can have. So we started on it, and I started getting some good sort of people on. And then maybe like just my personality or the way we wanted the show to go. Like we always interview, but we interview with like a lighthearted and naturally like I love having fun and being jovial and stuff. So that style just came out, and then it just kind of wishy-washy came into everything, hopefully now it's seen as a place that people want to come to. One, they feel safe to be able to share stuff that they don't want to speak to media about, but also like, we're just here. Like I'm asking them like, instead of talking about one of the biggest scrutinies of the year, I'm like, what did you have for breakfast today? Shit like that. So it's like, they feel comfortable and safe. But yeah, I don't know, man. I've been fortunate. I think having great guests has helped me grow. And then naturally, like from the age of 15, I've always been doing media. Right. So with soccer. So like speaking in front of a camera and stuff like that is not foreign to me. It was more just getting a skill set of like the flow of a podcast, how to know when a moment's there that you want to keep digging on, how to know when to pull back on something, all these types of things, and also understanding what not what I want to know, what the listener wants to know. And yeah, bro, it's fucking, you guys will know it's a lot of work, man.
Yeah, it is.
I tell people hit me up all the time about when I start a podcast. I'm like, bro, I'll give you 20 episodes and you'll be done.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Good luck. Go ahead.
Yeah.
You know, because it's borderline a full-time job.
Yeah.
And if you don't have, you know, a Braden, then how are you going to do it?
The man
How, you know, do you know what I mean? Like as important as what we do is, like you can't function without a back-end operation. So,
Exactly.
which we both experienced in our start. So, man, I really enjoy it. I find it fun. It doesn't feel like work to me. So,
No, definitely.
So what's next for Jake? Do you have any future plans with it or anything else you're working on?
Well, potentially a soccer podcast I want to do. We're just figuring out who will be on it on a more regular basis. And one, my time management, you know, I've got to figure that out too. That's one of the reasons. But I think if I did it, I think it would do really well because obviously played football at a high level and know the game quite well. And I watch a lot of football still. And in Australia, there's not too many
Good ones at least.
Yeah, good ones that are doing like, you know, speaking about what happened last week or yesterday in the Premier League, Klopp leaving, this and that, opinions based of an Australian point of view. So I think there's a bit of a market for that. So that's probably the only short-term thing. And the podcast, honestly, I try not look too far ahead of it because it's, as cliche as it is, the next episode is the most important.
Yeah.
And you put a lot of effort into getting a guest and then the episode, and then as soon as you finish that, you know, Braden will let you know, the full episode's there and here's some marketing clips and stuff. And then you go, fuck, now I've got to let people know I actually did that.
Yeah.
And fucking so it's a lot of, you know, churn and burn. It's repetitive. Like we burnt out towards the end of last year. So I needed a break, but yeah, very excited for what's to come. And actually, sorry, but I'm trying to do more than just sport this year. Everything.
Different
Man, we had a film director on
cool.
the other day. We've got comedian coming on soon.
Yeah.
Just very, very different stuff, hopefully.
We'll wish you all the best with that.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
It has been an absolute pleasure, my friend.
I appreciate it, man.
Having
Hopefully that was good.
Yeah, we'll see.
It got serious and sad at one point, but
It's good, man.
it's the reality.
real shit, bro. But no, it was fun, man.
No,
I really enjoyed it. Thanks for having me on, and it's great to see what you guys are doing.
Thank you.
I love the logo.
Thank
Thank
you
you very much.
Yeah.
I wish I said designed it myself. But I didn't. If you haven't already, please check out the Unlaced podcast on Instagram, Spotify,
Yep.
everywhere else.
Yeah, everywhere. YouTube, TikTok, wherever,
You know
man.
what to do.
Yep.
Thank you once again for joining us this episode of the Almost Made It podcast. Now I'll give you my spiel. Make sure you follow us on Spotify, YouTube, and everywhere else.
What are you doing, man? Why aren't you following?
Yeah, what are you
know
doing?
what I mean? What are you doing? How do you watch a full episode and not be following, bro? You know what I mean?
Exactly. Listen to Jake.
Yeah.
All right, guys. We'll see you soon. See you next week.